Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miriam and I am so excited to be here. Even though this day has been so difficult. Oh my God. I'm doing this because I want to be real and honest. From the beginning, I wanted to be that person that didn't come on here just pretending to be something that I'm not. It just sucks. I'm so overwhelmed. Like, I desperately need time to myself, and this is like something that I enjoy. Even though I'm exhausted, like, I truly enjoy doing this, and I'm just so frustrated because every time that like I want time to myself, I just feel like the enemy is just coming in and just trying to steal my joy. Like, my kids don't want to listen. My baby is not sleeping. All of a sudden, the past 3 nights, it's been a week now. My daughter does not want to sleep, and it's super frustrating. Like, she wakes up like 5 times a night. She's almost 2. She'll be 2 next year. Friends, motherhood is no joke. It is so hard. And what's even harder is like being on social media, which I try to distance myself, but being on social media and seeing all these moms that seem like they have it all together. And I need to, like, maybe this is why I'm going through what I'm going through, or the Lord is allowing me to go through this so I can just be real. It's like, we only have one vehicle right now, and I can't even drive it because it's stick shift. It's not our vehicle. Our vehicle broke down like going on 6 months now, and I've been doing really good, like with being content and just being happy regardless of circumstance, and I think that is huge. Like, it just goes to show how much I've grown in my faith and as a person. And it's just hard because it's like I have these moments where I'm like, I desperately need to get out of the house. Like, I desperately need this moment of just quiet and to be able to come to you and like share my story and share about the goodness of the Lord. And it's like one thing after another. It's exhausting. Like, my evenings are my time with the Lord. It's my quiet time after the kids have been settled. And it's like I'm just being interrupted, like, constantly all of a sudden. Like, she is just waking up a lot, and it's so hard. I'm not sleeping through the night. I'm not getting enough rest. But like, it's so hard. Like, I want to share my struggles, and here it is. Friends, we don't have a vehicle of our own. Riggs is driving his dad's vehicle right now, so the struggle is real. I don't get to get out all the time, like barely ever. And if I do get to get out, it's one of my friends is picking me up. I'm home all day, all the time with the kids. And I try to take these little moments, such as right now, to make it count. Either spend time with the Lord in prayer and worship, reading my word, which I love doing. And I've been doing every night. I've been very consistent with that. But it's like, man, every time I try to get, like, I was like 45 minutes into a video. That's right. I went past my 30-minute mark, but I was 45 minutes into my video. And like, the kids, we were having issues, and I'm like, gotta be kidding me. Like, there's nowhere to escape. And we live in a 3-bedroom house with my sister. and all the boys are in one room, and me, Aaliyah, and Riggs are in one room. I'll talk about more of that later in another video, but honestly, like, this whole time I've been super happy and content and at peace. Like, even though this is not our place, we're renting, we're living with family, I can honestly say I've had joy and peace and contentment in this time. I have little moments where I'm like so overwhelmed and I don't know where to start or what to do, and my days are just completely like flustered. Today was super hard. It was like one thing after another was happening with the kids, and they were fighting, and then I've been trying to step up on my role as cooking, and the Lord's put that desire in my heart to want to cook for my family and to try to lift that load. That's one of Riggs's love languages, is like me helping him out in any area that I can to lift the load. So if, you know, he doesn't have to clean or he doesn't have to cook, like, he's set, you know, that's his love language, number one. And you're probably wondering, like, why don't you just take the time to not do a video right now and just, you know, step outside or whatever? Because I feel like this matters. Like, this matters. And I truly can say that I enjoy doing this, and like, this is my time out of the house, but not really. But I just wanted to encourage the moms real quick. I don't have it all together. I wish I had people or more people around me that would say that they didn't have it all together. And I wish I would have had more people around me to just encourage me, to lift me up, because I struggled so much of like not fitting in to certain groups of people. And the Lord has just been teaching me to just be content with who He's put into my life. And it's just hard because I desperately need like community around all the time, but I don't always have that. I don't have the luxury of getting out. But anyways, okay, that was me being real with you. Today was a really crappy day. I said in the beginning of videos, like when I first started doing videos, I was probably going to talk about crying a lot. This is me crying. This is me not pretending to have it all together and crying on camera in front of people that I don't know. But moms, I just wanted to say, like, you've got this. And I just encourage you, like, and I'm preaching to myself right now. I just encourage you to like make time, be intentional to try to get out of the house. Thankfully, we have a park behind our house. I need to be more intentional of getting out again and just going on walks on the trail. But it's so easy to get in routine. And if you're in a position like we are where you don't have like the time or the luxury of having a sitter or even getting out of the house, like, make a way, pray about it, ask God to open up community or a door for you to get out of the house. There would be times that I would just go to the grocery store, I'm like, and call my friend. And I'm like, I needed to get out of the house. I had no reason to get out of the house, but I needed to get out of the house, because if I don't, then I go cray cray. All right, so forgive me for the last 9 minutes of saying all that, but I'm going to be real. So I'm so excited to be talking to you about our wedding. The Lord's been taking me through a process of forgiveness and obedience to those who haven't been following our journey. And now it's time for the Lord to like open up these doors for us to get married. So let me give you some background to why we can't get married. Well, Riggs was born in the Philippines. He came over with his mom on a humanitarian visa, and his paperwork just started expiring. Even though it's really weird because she's a permanent resident. He came over with her when he was super little. He went to school here all of his life. He's had jobs here. He pays his taxes, so he's not weird. He's not shady. But still, like, some of his stuff was just expiring. And unless you're going through this process, you're not going to fully understand what I'm talking about. But the struggle has been real, and it's held us back a lot from going forward in our lives, in our relationship. And it's been really rough. Like, truly, I can say to you that because of the trials that we have went through, I love Riggs more. Like, the Lord has put such a love for me, a love for him inside of me that I cannot describe, I cannot explain. Because, I mean, it's just, when we met, I was not attracted to him. I had no intention of dating him. He pursued me for a while. We were friends for a while before we got into anything serious. But I didn't think that potential was even there. I just, I looked at the outside of the appearance. I'm just going to be honest. I'm like, no thanks. I don't want to date an Asian. But I'm telling you, I'm just being real and being honest. Like, I didn't see potential with this person, and now it's like I love this man so much. And I think it's because the Lord made us go through this process of fighting for what we wanted, and not just that, but like laying down our desires at his feet, because that's exactly what he wanted me to do. In 2015, after I came back to the Lord, I was like, I just had this like moment of like, the Lord took me to this moment. It was only the Lord, but I'm like, I didn't even ask the Lord, like, is this the man I'm supposed to marry? I literally had to go into my prayer closet, like bawling my eyes out, and lay him down like Abraham did with Isaac, which, by the way, I heard the same sermon exactly, like told exactly the same way in a matter of a weekend, 3 times from different sources. That's crazy to me. And this was after a week of fasting, because I was fasting about like my future and what the Lord wanted us to do, because we were stuck. We couldn't get married. We had seen a lawyer back in 2013 in Kansas City, and he was like, it's going to cost thousands of dollars, and it just didn't even seem right to start the process with him. Not like we had the money, but it didn't feel right. But because the Lord allowed us to be in such a desperate situation, and like this impossible situation, it honestly pointed us to him, because he's the only one that can open up doors that no man can open or shut. And here we are, the perfect candidates for a miracle. And it was so hard, friends. It was so hard seeing our friends and our family get married, and all the weddings that we had been to. And I'm like, God, when is it going to be our time? And I even got to this place of being bitter. And I'm like, why do these people get to get married and we don't? And it's like the Lord honestly took me through a process of fighting for what I wanted since the very beginning of our relationship, fighting for what I wanted, and teaching me just how to fight in general, fight in prayer, fight for this relationship that I wanted. Like, how bad am I willing to go and to fight for it? And it's like, because the Lord showed me, even to this day, like just more and more of how divorce is common. And it's so sad how like divorce, it comes in and it just rips a family apart. And we have to remember, like, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy our marriages first and foremost. Like, he didn't come in the garden with Adam just there. He came in to divide Adam and Eve. Like, he came to bring division between Adam and Eve and God. And it worked. And it wasn't until Eve came into the picture, and I'm telling you, that we started experiencing some serious spiritual warfare. Not just that, but just like butting of heads even before our marriage had even begun, because the enemy was mad. Riggs was now following the Lord. I was following the Lord, like, yeah. And I had to lay him down, and that's exactly what I did. And the Lord gave him back to me. And the Lord showed us exactly what we needed to do. And it was in this time period in 2015 that I started seeing the number 333. And the Lord took me to Jeremiah 33:3. Like, come to me and ask me things that you don't know about, and I will show you. I'll give you revelation of things that you don't know. And that's literally what he started to do. 333 in the Pour It Out Ministries blog online, it says, fresh revelation and divine strategy out of heaven is being released. Pray and ask and expect for revelation and nearness of his presence. And that's exactly what I received. Revelation for our marriage and how we needed to do things. Holy cow, the nearness of his presence. Yes. I was experiencing all that. I grew up in a Christian home, and I had these amazing encounters with the Lord, but I had never experienced what I was experiencing when I came back to Christ. But I was ready to get married. We had been through hell in our relationship. Anyone else? Anyone else's spouse get rejected from the very beginning from like their family members? Because that's what happened to us. It was bad. It was really bad. I lost friends over our relationship. We were looked down upon whenever we were out because he was Filipino and a different skin color and I was white. And honestly, I didn't catch on to all of that. I didn't know that a lot of it had to do with racism. I didn't know that I needed to give my parents grace, for example, in our situation because of the way that they were raised. And it's so easy to set up expectations of who you want your son or daughter to marry, and now they're marrying this person. They did not see Rick's coming, and I honestly didn't realize I was going to fall so hard for this man. But you know what? It's because of the trials, and I'm encouraging you guys, because it's like whatever you're going through could be strengthening your marriage, could be preparing you for what God has for you on the other end of your trials and your mistakes and all of it. So keep pressing into the Lord, keep seeking him, be intentional. Even in the hard times, pray and worship regardless of circumstance. Read your Bible, and the word will come alive to you like it has to me. It's been amazing. Last night I was reading my Bible, and the Lord took me to Psalms 129, and it says in the Passion Translation, from verse 1 to verse 4, it says, "Persecuted but not defeated. Let all Israel admit it. From the very beginning, we have been persecuted by the nations, and from our very beginning, we have faced never-ending discrimination. Nevertheless, our enemies have not defeated us. We're still here. They have hurt us more than we can be expressed, ripping us to shreds, cutting deeply into our souls. But no matter what, the Lord is good to us. He is a righteous God who stood to defend us, breaking the chains of the evil ones that bound us. Holy cow. Drop the mic. Like, yeah. We received serious backlash when I introduced him to people who were important to me and my family. But here's where I stood strong, and I knew the character that Riggs had and has, and I knew I was standing on truth. I'm like, I love this man. It's not about if he's accepted by my family. Like, it sucks that, like, and friends, that he's not accepted. It sucks that the way that we're treated when we're out together. But you know what? Like, it's all made us stronger. And actually, my parents and my family love Riggs now. So that's really cool. But the enemy, like, wow, I can just see his little tactics and fingerprints on different situations looking back. And I'm like, wow. He was trying to divide us before we even were married, before we step into ministry, which we're not in ministry yet. But it's like, because he's threatened by us. He's threatened that if we are united and we're under Christ and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, then the Lord is going to use us, and we're going to be pulling down like some serious strongholds in other people's lives and marriages and stuff because of the things that we've gone through. Okay, so yeah, I was seeing 333. Why we couldn't get married. I had to lay that down. My parents were in Panama at the time. They were called in 2015 to be missionaries there. And like a few months later, after being there, the Holy Spirit spoke to my mom and my dad, both separately, telling them that they needed to come back because they had unfinished business to do. The Lord didn't give them details. They just thought, like, okay, we need to like figure out some more financial stuff, like that we need to take care of, sell more of our stuff that's in storage, like stuff like that. So they're down here and they're like, I was hanging out with my mom this one day and she was just in tears, and she's like, now you need to get married now. And the Holy Spirit was just speaking through her. And at first I wasn't getting it. And I was just like, I know, Mom, like, I want to get married too, but we can't. Like, we need a lawyer to go through this process. We have tried to do it on our own before, tried to fill out different applications, and it just didn't work out. Like, I could go into it in details, but for time's sake, I can't. But I was just like, I wasn't fully grasping that moment, but the Lord was speaking through her and saying, this is what you need to do. And after receiving confirmation from different sources and my pastor, they were like, yes, you need to go in front of friends and family, because at that point, there was just so much condemnation that we were living under, because we were trying to live for Christ. We were trying to move on in our lives and not have to feel bad for living together and sleeping together. Like, we already have 2 kids together. We want to be married, but we can't. Like, whatever. Like, if this is the Lord's will, it's just going to work out. And the people that we talked to, which and received wisdom from our pastors and stuff, all said that we needed to do it, and that the Lord would open up the right doors for us in the future to get those papers, like our marriage license or whatever. So at that point, we were just trusting the Lord. And at that point, it was a month until my parents had to return to Panama. So here we are. We have 3 weeks to plan a wedding. We were just given confirmation that we needed to do it. And at the same time, my best friend from Ohio, my friend Kaya, was down in Missouri, was going to meet with me that day and just hang out with me or whatever. And then she was there and I told her, I'm like, guess what? We're getting married. And she's like, what? No way. She's like, what's going on? So I told her everything and she's like, we should just look online to, see if we can find you like a wedding dress. Not thinking I was going to find one like 5 minutes later, but I did on Amazon of all places. Like, it was crazy. I saw it and I just knew that was my dress. And it was only $150. It was gorgeous. It fit me like a glove. It was a little bit longer than it had to be, but I got it hemmed later on. It was literally perfect. And I was just so happy. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like one thing has already like come together. Like this is crazy and amazing. So I got that ordered and it came in just like a few days later and it was perfect. And they only had 3 left in my size. I thought that was crazy. And when my friend Kaya had left, she called me back. She's like, I want to come back for your wedding. And I'm like, no way. This is so crazy. Cause she was like in her 3rd trimester of pregnancy at the time. And she lived 10 hours south from us in Ohio. And I'm like, she wants to come down for my wedding, like drive down again in 3 weeks. Like, who does that? Like, a good friend. And then she was like, I also want to take your pictures for you for your wedding. I'm like, what? I'm like, how much do you want to charge me? And she's like, nothing. I want to do this for you guys. I just want to bless you guys. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, photographers are super expensive. I was so like, what is happening? Like, the doors are already opening and it's only been like hours since like the experience with my mother to talking to the pastors, like in a matter of hours. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And she did an amazing job. She took pictures from start to finish. She painted my nails for me as I was getting ready. She helped me with my makeup. She helped me set up. She was amazing. It was amazing. All right, so backing up a few weeks, because I had to tell that part first, but backing up a few weeks, I really wanted to go to this women's conference that this church that I previously went to held every year, but I couldn't afford to go. And there was just a speaker, Robert Madu. If you don't know who he is, look him up because he's awesome. But Robert Madu was speaking at Design for Life conference, and I really wanted to go and hear him and just be encouraged. And out of all those people that I saw, I reconnected with my friend Sam. Sam was the one that brought me back to church. I reconnected with her when I moved back, when I moved to the same town that she lived in. So she took me to church with her. She was my only Christian friend. And here she is out of all those thousands of women. And we even left, like, we were trying to be intentional with leaving early because we didn't want to be stuck in traffic. And I see Sam and she comes running up to me and she's like, oh my gosh, Miriam, like, you've been on my heart and we need to reconnect. And we did. Like, that following weekend, we got together, we had lunch. She didn't know anything about me and Riggs, so I'm like spilling my heart out to her and telling her I'm just like how bad I wanted to be married and how bad I just want to live for the Lord, and I'm tired of living under condemnation. I just want to do the right thing, and I love Riggs so much and all this stuff. And she prayed with me, she encouraged me, and we went our separate ways. So the day after that I saw Kaya, fast forwarding back to the, time that I was talking with Kaya, the day after I called Sam, I'm like, you're not going to believe this. And I only told us like a small few people, like what was going on. But, I'm like, you're not going to believe this, but I'm getting married. And if you have any advice for me about wedding stuff, like, please share it with me, because I know nothing. And it's like, literally ever since I saw the wedding planner, I'm like, I have absolutely no desire to plan my own wedding. Because I just see the stress that goes into it. Like, especially with my sister's weddings, they were so chaotic. My sister Helga was late to her wedding. I mean, it was their weddings were a disaster. I'm just being honest. Like, nothing was planned out like it should have been. It was just very chaotic, and I didn't want that. And it's like, so I'm talking to Sam and I'm like, if you can hook me up with any ideas. And she's like, I was the wedding coordinator for the church that just hosted the Design for Life Women's Conference. She's like, I was a wedding coordinator there for 3 years. So she has experience. And I'm like, what is happening? This is crazy. And she's like, I want to plan your wedding for you. And I'm like, how much would you charge me? And she said, nothing. I want to do this for you guys. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, are you sure you want to take this on? And it was like, she was like, yes, absolutely. And it was mind blowing to me because she literally helped out from the start. Like, from that day on, she helped me with decorations. She's also a minimalist, so she helped me stay on a budget. I got to use a lot of her stuff that she had collected over the years. I mean, it was amazing. She hemmed my dress for me because she knew how to sew. She did my hair for my wedding for me. I showed her a picture and she did it. She talked to my family and made them come to certain places, certain locations on time, because like I said, like my parents, my family, just they don't know how to show up on time to places. And Rick's literally had to put me in check with that when we started dating. He's like, we can't be showing up 5 minutes like right before the movie and for like dinner reservations. Like we've got to do something about this. She was not afraid to talk to my family and like basically put them in their place and, you know, say, you need to be here for pictures. You need to be at this location for rehearsal or whatever. Da, 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 da. I mean, she did it all, everything. She tore down the wedding stuff for us. She ran all over the place so I wouldn't have to, different stores and whatever. Like, she was on the phone with people trying to make me as less stressed out as possible. Like, wherever she could lift the load, she did it. It was crazy. At the time, she and her family were, they were living on a farm that they were renting in Ash Grove, which was an hour away from where we lived at the time. And she let us take pictures on that land. And I mean, it was like hills and it was beautiful. It was a gorgeous day out that day. It was a little chilly, but it was sunny and it was beautiful. And what do you know? She lived 15 minutes away from the Ash Grove church that we were getting married in. What are the odds of that? And how convenient it was that she lived at that location, because if she needed to if she needed to grab something from her house, she didn't have to drive like all the way to like the next town over. She lived there. So it's like, wow, God was bringing like details together. It was amazing. Okay, so this was about a week prior to our wedding. Those of you who don't know, I was a server, and I worked in a restaurant for 13 years. And until last March, and I got laid off because of COVID. But I met Janet and her daughter. I had waited on them first time. And we just got into great conversation, and her daughter's nails were done. I'm like, yeah, I love your nails. Like, it was like that nude pink color. And I'm like, that's what I want for my nails. Like, I was just going to go pick up some nail polish from Walmart. Like, I knew that we couldn't afford. We had to penny pinch because we didn't have years to plan a wedding. We had weeks. And so I'm like trying to figure out little ways where I can penny pinch and just save my money and save here and there and whatever. And I was like, where'd you get your nail polish? It's so pretty. She's like, I got my nails done here. I'm like, that's awesome. Well, they ended up leaving me a $25 tip with a note on it that said, go find your perfect pink. I was in tears at work. I'm like, I can't believe that this is happening. What is going on? During this time, my tips doubled and tripled during this time. Like normally, like maybe like on a 2-top table, I would make like $5, like average. I was getting like $10 tips on like little tables and like $50 tips on like just 4 tops or whatever. Like, I mean, it was crazy. Like, I was receiving favor in that season. It was table after table that I was getting over tipped. That is not common for me, like, to make that much money unless it's on a holiday or a weekend, which it was. I mean, I wasn't only just working on weekends at the time. I was working during the weeks. So this was crazy. Okay, so this is really cool. Riggs is not a big dessert person, and he's like, I really want a donut cake for our wedding. And I'm like, what? Like thinking in my head, I'm like, that sounds retarded. I'm like, I had never heard of it. I didn't even know. Like, I'm like, a donut cake? He's like, I just want a donut for like dessert. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I just kind of put it like in the back of my mind. Well, Janet ended up adding me on Facebook, and I was like, I can't believe that she added me. Like, I get to thank her like for what she did, and like, I mean, how she blessed me. It was amazing. And she was like, I scrolled down and I saw one of her posts, and she's like, a really awesome waitress just waited on us, and she had no idea what I was struggling with or going through at the time. But my husband of so many years left me for my best friend. And she was just so nice. And she, not tooting my own horn, but I'm just saying what she said. Like, she's like, she just took the time to encourage and just to be kind and to talk to us. And I just thought that was awesome. How God like worked it out, because she needed that. And then I needed this. I needed this blessing. And it was awesome. And so I just had a feeling, I'm like, I'm on my way to work while all this is happening. And I'm like, I have a feeling to see like where she works. And I scroll up, and it said that she is the co-owner of Krispy Kreme. No joke. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. So I reach out to her while I'm at work, and I'm like, hey friend, like, thank you for posting that like about me. Like, you guys were really great, and I just really appreciate you guys blessing me, to keep it short. And then I was just like, hey, I noticed that you're the co-owner of Krispy Kreme. Like, how much would it be to make like a donut cake for our wedding? Because my husband was wanting it. And she's like, well, what are you going for? I'm like, just original glaze and the ones that have like the top chocolate or whatever made into a tower. And she's like, okay, I can do that, and I can deliver it to the church for you. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how much is it going to be? Nothing. I want to do this for you guys. I'm like, you're not going to charge me for a donut cake, and you're going to deliver it 45 minutes from her location to the church, and she doesn't even like know me. What? I was blown away. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. This is crazy and amazing. God, you're making yourself so known and so real to me. But he wants to show up. He wants to get credit. He wants to show off. And it's like, wow. So got that covered. My parents reached out to some Hungarians. Just in case you haven't been following me, I am Hungarian. My family is from Europe. But they reached out to some Hungarians and said that we were getting married. They said, we want to help out. They made desserts for us. They contributed food. My parents also cooked, so that we didn't have to get any catering. So that was amazing. The food was delicious. The desserts were like European, gorgeous, so tasty. Oh my word. And they blessed us with like money and gift cards. And friends, let's just say that there's no way to plan a wedding in 3 weeks and all this money going out, and you still have money for bills, and you still have some money left over. That is favor. That is the Lord, because there's no way we would have been able to do this without the Lord. No way. And like just everything, all the money that went out, even though we were very careful with what went out and where, but everything that went out for like Riggs's suit and my dress and the bridesmaids' dresses and whatever, like the money that went out, it added up. But everything came back to us with gift cards, with cash. I mean, it was amazing. Like 50 plus people showed up. I'm just going to round it out to 50. 50. We had 3 weeks to plan it. We sent out like a Facebook invite. We didn't even like make it like super formal. We just wanted to say like, look, we had the chance to get married. We're taking it. We would love for you to be a part of it. And I was shocked to how many people came. I was shocked. It was just amazing. There's one thing that I really, really wanted for my wedding, and it is a wedding cake. So now I was on a journey to finding a wedding cake. And I called around to Walmarts, to Price Cutters, to cheap places. Like it didn't need to be extravagant. I just wanted a simple cake for our wedding that we can cut into, and for myself. And I was calling around. I couldn't reach people. I mean, nothing was like opening up at these places that I was calling at. And then I'm like, you know what? I started going to some bakeries downtown where I lived, and well-known bakeries, and there's like a huge line of people waiting to put in reservations and all this stuff. And I get up to the counter and I'm like, I need to order a cake for 3 weeks from now. And they're like, what are you doing ordering a cake 3 weeks prior to your wedding? And there's people behind me, okay? And I'm like, my parents, long story short, like my parents are missionaries and we had a chance to get married, so we are. And the lady at the register is like, well, we're booked out like years. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the lady in the back that was making the cakes stopped what she was doing, said, give her my number. I will make her a cake for her wedding, like from my house. I was like, what? So she reached out to me that night. She asked me what I wanted. And I said, it doesn't need to be extravagant. It doesn't need to be huge, but it was beautiful. It was a 2-tier cake. It had our fall colors on it. She made like roses, like she put a bow on it, a gorgeous bow. It was sparkly. It was seriously like easily $100 cake. And she only charged us $60. And she delivered it to me. Are you serious? Like, who does that? The Lord. I was shocked. I had cried so much in this 3-week period. Like, I had a horrible headache. Anytime I cry, I just get a really bad headache. But God was showing up. He was providing. He was making it known that he is making a way where there seems to be no way. Everything was completely effortless. With the church, with Ash Grove, where we
got married at, we literally went there for like 3 times, and the Holy Spirit was unctioning me to ask the pastor if we could get married there, if he would marry us there. I can't get into all the details of like how we met them or whatever. That's an amazing story. Maybe I'll tell it another time. But I had not mentioned it to Riggs, and he's the one that mentioned it to me. He's like, how do you feel if we got married here? Because it wasn't working out for us to get married in our local church. And I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say anything because we only went there 3 times. And it's like, is it weird to ask him to marry us? Like, we just met them. We got to get married there for free. It was a beautiful little church in the country. My friend at the time, my sister had a friend at the time who worked in a boutique store, and she steam cleaned like all the clothes that came in, and she said, I would like to take care of the wedding dress, steam clean it so that it doesn't have any wrinkles in it, and Riggs's suit and the bridesmaids' dresses. And so she did all of that for us for free. It was amazing. Our decorations and like place settings and all that stuff came from our close friends, Alex and JJ, who are in like our tight-knit group of people. Riggs went to school with JJ, and and it was crazy because they got married the year prior to us, when in the fall, literally had the same color theme as us that we were having. It was so perfect and on point. She had so many things left over from her wedding, and she had a gorgeous, very put together wedding. She had gold plastic silverware. Everything was like wrapped up like beautifully in like napkins and cloths and all this stuff that she gave to me to use. There's a few things I had to return to her, but no big deal. But she had napkins, silverware, decorations, bouquets for my bridesmaids to use, and she made me my own that I got to keep. She had a flower girl basket for me that I didn't have to purchase. She made me a guest tree. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically like a glass box. It's like a frame. It's glass. You can see through it. And she painted a tree trunk, and then these little circles, she colored each of them like fall colors. And so the people that came into the sanctuary to watch you be married, they would sign like a circle. So it was like a leaf. So Riggs and I got to put that together after our wedding and just glue them into place. So it was awesome. She made that for me. We wanted to walk out with sparklers because it was going to be dark. She had extra sparklers. I wouldn't have been able to do that if she didn't supply that. Like if she wouldn't have given it to us, because you can't really get fireworks anywhere near here unless it's around the 4th of July. So that was just amazing. I mean, huge blessings and favor after favor. She had gifted us with this plaque. It was like a piece of wood that she stained, and all of their friends that he went to school with in high school, they all participated in doing this, but they basically nailed like the date that we got married, and then they used string or yarn to connect it and like weave it together. So it was 11/7/15, and it wasn't right away that I got this, but there was this one night that I was up, and it was like, I don't know, a year or two later after the fact or something like that, and I was up at night and I couldn't sleep, and I was looking at it and I'm like, something told me to add the numbers together. So I'm like, okay. I added 11, 7, and 15. And guess what it comes to? 33. Jesus died when he was 33. He was nailed to a tree, a cross, when he was 33. Do you know how prophetic that is? Like, it's prophetic. I mean, it's just crazy because we were not planning it like that. And it just works out that it comes to 33 and that it's on a wooden plaque with a bunch of nails on it. Like, what is happening? I literally had to wake up Briggs in the middle of the night. Oh my gosh, you won't believe this. How did we not catch this? All right, so our honeymoon was paid for. Like, we had childcare that night, which was awesome. We didn't get to go to like anywhere extravagant for our honeymoon. One day we will get to go on a real honeymoon, a real adventure, like somewhere, and it'll be amazing. But we just got one night away. We got to go to like a hotel suite and just be together, and it was awesome. So that was paid for. And it was just like, it was perfect. It was really perfect. God did the impossible. I cried so much because I was so grateful and so thankful that my day was finally here. And I had so many people reach out to my parents and to us like, we have never been to a wedding like yours. I was like bawling the whole way down the aisle. Like, you could just feel the presence of the Holy Spirit in there. God was very present. It was very tangible. So many people said they could just feel it, that like, holy cow, the presence of the Lord was there. It was amazing. Like, oh my gosh, I cried so much. My dreams had come true, and it was just a wedding, something that everybody gets to experience, but so many people take for granted, and marriages just end up in divorce, like, so easily. And the Lord reminds me in times like this that everything that you've endured, look back on how far you've come. Because in the hard times, like in the season that we were just in, me and my husband, reflect on those moments, on how far you've come and how far you've had to fight for him and your relationship and to get married. Like, keep fighting. Keep your eyes focused on me. I am the way maker. Put me first. Put me first. Align under me like you're supposed to be, and I will make things happen. Like, I know there's scripture for that. But anyways, I am at the 53-minute mark. I had to go over for this specific video because there's just so much details. I didn't want to leave anything out, but the Lord had pressed it upon my heart to write everything down so I didn't forget it. And it's, friends, like, I encourage you, like, if God has done stuff like this for you, like where he's answered prayers, write it down and keep a journal of it and share it with your kids. Like, share what he has done for you guys and share it with others. Like, I'm so glad that I get this, like, this platform to be able to share what God has done. I just love him so much, and he deserves it. He deserves all the credit. This was not me. This was not a forced wedding. It just, like, it was literally one thing after another. It was a domino effect of blessings. Okay, so I'm going to end it here. I appreciate you listening and taking the time to invest your time into hearing my story. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, continue to follow along on this journey of real life. And I'm just gonna continue going forward with just being honest, open, and transparent, and sharing real life struggles with you, being a mom and a wife. And yeah, okay, so my next video, I'm going to continue with God's favor and what he has done, because I literally have like a whole page to share, but that is separate from the wedding. So I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm gonna end it here and then just do a completely different video for that. And then probably after the next one, I'm going to share some really hard stuff. Wow. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into it because then I'm not going to be able to shut up. All right. Have a good night or a great day whenever you're watching this. Be blessed.